Righto, let's get going. The reason lithium is the biggest section of this is because lithium batteries are the batteries that we use in drones, okay? 90% of our equipment, including laptops and smartphones, tend to have lithium-based batteries. You get three types. You have the Li-ion, which is your lithium ion. You have the LiPo, which is lithium polymer. What's this? Oh, I thought I heard someone. Okay. And then you have LiFePO, which is your lithium ferrite phosphate. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Cool. So lithium ions. It has a cathode, an anode, and an electrolyte. So, remember what our plates were? It's the top of the battery and the bottom of the battery. Okay? Lithium ion has the top of the battery. Well, technically the top of the battery. It doesn't work the same way as nickel batteries. But ultimately you can think that top of that battery, in other words, the entrance for the electricity is called a cathode. Okay? The exit for the electricity is called an anode. And then the electrolyte is the conductor. So there's no other sort of plates in between. Okay, there's just the electrolyte, which is like a substance, which will then make the electricity travel along the battery to the cells. Okay, your lithium polymer, the LiPos, they have four main components. They have the positive electrode, they have the negative electrode, they have a separator, and then an electrolyte as well. Okay, so your lithium ions, there's no separator, it just runs through. The lithium polymer, there is a separator between each individual section of the battery. Okay, the LiPo battery has a polymer electrolyte versus a liquid electrolyte as found on lithium ions. That explains it. Why do we have a separator? Well, a lithium ion battery has liquid. You're not going to separate the liquid. You need the liquid to flow in order for the electricity to flow through the battery. Okay? But if you have your polymer electrolyte, where it's actually more of like a substance or a material, then of course you can put separators so as to stop the electricity from flowing when you need to. Okay. And then LiFePOs, your lithium ferrite phosphates, their chemistry is similar to the lithium ion battery in that they use a liquid as well. And the cathode material, in other words, the positive electrode, the cathode is of a graphite carbon. Okay, so it is made of a very specific material, your graphite carbon material. Okay, cool. So your applications, lithium ion batteries, they are not commonly used as energy sources for UA powertrains, except that this is completely wrong. Your modern day drones combine the lithium ion and the lithium polymer. They combine the combination of these and into one battery. Okay. And a lot of people will tend to try and fight you on this. You literally have to show them the battery. On the battery, it literally says this is a lithium ion polymer battery, not a lithium polymer and not a lithium ion. It is both of them working together as one. As we break this down, you guys are going to see why they've combined these two batteries, because each one has pros to it. Okay, they all have the same cons pretty much, but each one has different types of pros to it that they wanted to have more pros to flying with lithium batteries, so they combined lithium ion, lithium polymer. They made a lithium ion polymer. Okay, cool. So this whole not commonly used as energy sources is actually bullshit. It is very much commonly used, except that it is also combined with your lithium polymers. Okay, they are ideal for short duration missions due to their incredibly high discharge rate. Liquid, guys, liquid is the strongest conductor of electricity, meaning it will make electricity travel through it the fastest. So lithium ion, which has liquid as the electrolyte, liquid as the passageway, it means the electricity is going to start at the positive, the cathode, just shoot down to the anode, and then that's that. Okay? Cool. Lithium ion is used to power other non-flight systems, such as the remote pilot station and related ground-based systems. Except that not entirely and not always. Again, this depends entirely on the remote control. Maybe you're going to have a remote control with a nickel-based battery system. You can find that information, if you ever want to know, you can find that information in the manual that comes with your piece of equipment. Okay? Cool. Your typical applications for lithium ion is small electric vehicles. Your mobile devices will have lithium ion as well, and then data center backup powers. Okay, but a data center backup power, they are being replaced by lithium ferrite phosphate, because a lithium ion, you need a huge one to back up a data center power. Whereas lithium ferrite phosphate, you can have a small one, and it can literally charge an entire building. Okay, cool. Then you've got your lithium polymers, your lipos. They are the best drivetrain option for RPAS. So RPAS stands for what? Remotely piloted aircraft system. Okay. What has it been replaced with? Unmanned? Yes, UAS stands for? No way. Remember, the terminology here is very important. It is an unmanned aerial system. Okay, it is, and I'm going to be hard on you for that one, because that is in the examiner's eyes, that is one of the most important things. Why? Because that's literally what we fly. So they say if you don't know what we call it, then you shouldn't be a drone pilot. Examiners are that hard on this terminology. Okay, it is not an unmanned aircraft system, it is an unmanned aerial system. Okay, cool. But essentially, yes, guys, it's an unmanned aircraft system. Okay, people just have to stick up their asses. Let's get real. Okay. So it has the best drivetrain for option 4 RPAS/UAS. It is ideal energy density, meaning it will store the right amount of energy in the cells. It's not going to overdo it and stuff it full, but it's also not going to make it that it's empty. Okay, it's going to make sure that it stores the right amount of electricity. And it also has a slow discharge rate, which means that there's an increase in our endurance. What is flight endurance? The amount of specifically flight time. Okay, how long can your drone actually fly? That is flight endurance. Okay, and it is directly related to the amount of fuel you have. If you have a giant ass battery which can store a whole bunch of electricity, you're going to have a better flight endurance because your battery is going to last a lot longer. Okay, cool. But beyond that, if you have a battery that doesn't store a lot, but it releases power at an efficient rate, meaning it's not just shooting its power out, but it's releasing only what it needs to at any given moment in time. Therefore, you're going to have a better endurance as well. Because the propellers are not just going crazy for the whole flight. Okay, they're taking their time. They're going fast and then they're going slow. And they're only using the power that they need to use. Okay, tomorrow when we talk about construction and flight, we're going to figure out how the battery actually does this. How does the battery regulate and monitor the electric flow to all the individual components of the drone? Okay, then we've got your typical applications of LiPo packs are your RC aircraft, remote control, UAS, unmanned what? Aerial. Yeah, boy. And then your EV stands for what? EV, who wants to take a guess? It was on the previous slide as well. Extended visual. EV, your EV industry is talking about your electric vehicles. Okay. Yeah, boy. Yeah, man. Remember, the obvious answer is the correct answer. Okay. Cool. Right, LiFePO 4. Okay, you can just call it your LiFePO. LiFePo, that's right. So your LiFePo it's basically a lithium-ion battery, but on a grandiose scale. And I don't mean that the battery itself is bigger. I mean that the battery is able to store energy at a tremendous rate.
Can I ask something?
Yes.
Say AU is what?
What? UA is unmanned aircraft.
And then UAS?
What do you guess? LiFePos are not used for UAs. Guys, if you're using a LiFePo for a UA, you might as well have a rocket. Okay, these things are devastatingly powerful. They are used by industries which require high voltage capabilities whilst offering a small weight and size footprint. In other words, you have a building. You need to power the building during load shedding. You can buy 10 generators, or you can buy just 1 or 2 of these batteries, and you will power that whole building. That's how strong these batteries can get. Okay. Typical applications, you can see this here. Data centers, off-grid power supplies, backup cell phone towers. Okay, literally your towers, literally your huge mother frickin' things. You're going to slide this battery in and it's going to be done and dusted. What are the operating temperatures for our lithium chemistries? Lithium ion, 15 to 35 degrees Celsius. This is the operating temperature, not the charging temperature. Okay, 15 to 35 degrees Celsius. Lithium polymers is 10 to 20 degrees Celsius. And your LiFePos are 9 to 40 degrees Celsius. Okay, just some numbers for you guys to memorize so that you can cram, pass, forget for your test. Notice that this is the only battery that has a grid or a discharge profile like you see here. Each individual cell will release at the same time, in the beginning they'll all go down, but then they'll gradually lay out to a flat line. Notice when you get to your 80%. So this 0, I want you guys to swap these numbers around. I want you to think 100 here and 0 here at the end. So you're starting with 100%, at which case the battery releases power. Then when it's there, 100 on there, it's actually 0, right? Meaning that that's 0%, that's where the battery runs out of life. This 80% then would actually be 20. Notice at that line, at this line there, notice how all they just plummet. That is why we have the 80-20 rule. The first 80% of the battery is safe to use. The last 20% is unsafe to use, because that is when the cells just plummet. Okay, they just release all of their energy. What? Well, no, actually the way this profile is designed is accurate, but in order to understand it in terms of percentage, I just want you to put where that 0 is, rather put the 100, because then that starts at 100% and then depletes until that 20%. Okay. Cool. Okay. Right, the breakdown of C rating, charge rating, nominal voltage, and energy density of all 3 battery types. Luckily, you guys don't have to memorize charge rating, because it literally says good, good, and very good. Okay. Okay, but what you need to memorize is your nominal voltage. Nominal voltage for lithium ion, 3.1. Nominal for LiPo, 3.7. Nominal for LiFePo, 3.2. Okay. Energy density, we know what this is. It's your specific energy. Okay, we talked about it multiple times. Okay, your specific energy for lithium ion is 250 to 693 watt hours per. What do you think that L is there? What? Life. It's not life? Isn't it supposed to be? What is it supposed to be?
I think load.
Load. That could be what it is, because it's supposed to be kilograms. So I don't know what that L is doing there, if I'm being honest. It's one of the things I need to go and fix. Okay, but it's supposed to be per kilogram. Okay, but yes, I suppose you can think per load. Okay. Then you've got lipo, which is good 3.7 and 250 to 730. And lipopo is 3. It's a nice consistent energy density or specific energy of 325. Cool. Okay, your lowest allowable voltage. So this will explain to you nominal voltage versus lowest voltage. You're allowed to have a voltage that is below the nominal voltage, but it is not ideal to have a voltage that is below the nominal voltage. Your nominal voltage is the voltage where you don't want the battery to get any less than that. But if you are going to have a battery that gets less than that, then the lowest allowable voltage in this case would be 3.3 volts. Okay? Your nominal voltage is 3.7 volts. Your fully charged battery is 4.2 volts. And this next one I'm going to have to explain. What do you guys think the safety margin between cells is talking about? Any guesses? What is the safety margin between cells? So let's say we have a 4-cell battery. Do you guys remember the term that we used earlier to balance charge cells? What does it mean?
It means that the voltage in each cell should be either the same or should be able to be balanced out.
Boom shaka. It means that this cell, if this cell has 4 volts, this cell must also have 4 volts, this cell must also have 4 volts, this cell must also have 4 volts. All batteries that have multiple cells need to be balanced out except one battery type, and that was the SLA battery. The SLA, the car battery, is the only one that can have multiple cells, where this cell is at half rate and this cell is at full and this one is empty. Why? Because the cells will feed each other as they need to. But a lithium battery doesn't charge itself. It needs to be charged. That means each individual cell needs to be worked the same amount. Imagine you've got this. Do you guys know what a battery means? The word battery. The word battery means a unit or a team. So a battery is not actually talking about the element. The battery it's talking about is the cells inside this device, which we then call a battery. Okay? For example, you can have a battery of troops. You can have a battery of military vehicles. They call them batteries of military whatevers. Okay? Teams, collections. So, I forget where I was going with this, but essentially what you're saying is, I remember where I was going with this. If you have a team of 4 people, and the one person is the one that you keep delegating work, and the rest of the team isn't doing anything, who is the one that's going to tire out? The one who's always working. Then you've wasted a whole battery because you made one person work hard versus making all of them work equal and prolonging the battery life. That is why it is important that we have the safety margin. You balance the charged cells. Because you don't want this cell to be at 4 volts and this one's at 2 and 2 and 2. Because then the 4 volts has to carry the rest of the team. And that one's going to deplete. And then a whole battery is gone because just one cell has lost its ability to continue. Okay? You want it that they're all working equally so that the battery will last a lot longer. Therefore, the safety margin between each cell is 0.02 volts. That means if this one is at 4 volts, this one can only be between 3.98 volts and 4.02 volts. That's the only difference in voltage. Same with this one. Same with this one. Okay. Nothing more than 0.02 volts between each cell. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Great stuff. This, guys, this is what we use to charge these types of batteries. Well, no. Well, yes. Okay, yes, we do use these. But when it comes to us in drones, because they've combined the lithium ion and the lithium polymer, we actually get our own smart chargers. We just plug it in, let it charge, it cuts out, done and dusted. Okay, you don't even have to watch it. Back in the day when we taught about batteries, we had a whole module, a whole section on battery safety. How to charge your batteries, the fact that you have to watch your batteries charge, the fact that you have to charge them on non-flammable surfaces. Now, with the introduction of our new age smart chargers, we literally say just put your battery on charge and leave it. Okay, it'll charge and it'll cut out when it needs to cut out. Okay. All right. All three of the lithium-based batteries can be charged on a compatible, modern, intelligent, or smart charger. The charger has to have the battery balancer functionality. What is the battery balancer functionality? If our charger has to have this functionality, what does it do? The battery balancing functionality. How can you make sure that each cell stays within that safety margin of 0.02 volts? With the introduction of the battery balancer functionality. It works like this. The smart charger will measure the one until it reaches the rate. 4.2 volts, guys. Fully charged, 4.2 volts. Okay? So it will break that down into however many cells there are. So let's say there's 2 cells, and this battery gets to 4.2 volts. That means each cell needs to be 2.1 volts, right? 2.1 plus 2.1 equals 4.2. So what this battery balancer will do, it will charge the first cell to that exact voltage it needs, which is 2.1 volts, and it will cut it off until it breeds into. It'll literally stop charging that battery or that cell, and it will take it into the next cell. So what this battery balancer functionality does is charge each cell individually. It doesn't just charge the full battery. It charges this cell first until it gets to that exact amount. Then this cell until it gets to that exact amount, or 0.02 volts above it or below it. Then onto the next cell, same thing. Then the next cell, same thing. Do we understand? That is the power of your battery balancing functionality. You have a question? Oh, okay. Cool. The function ensures that the individual cells are evenly charged. It ensures an equilibrium of charge to each cell. Those two sentences literally mean the same thing. Okay? LiPo cells should not have a difference of more than 30 megavolts or 0.02 volts, which we've already discussed, okay, between any 2 cells. Always ensure that charging occurs in a well-ventilated environment. You do not want to be charging these batteries in a stuffy corner where there's a bunch of pillows and a bunch of things. What if this battery does catch fire? Okay, then there's no ventilation for it to deal with that. And finally, never charge your batteries on a flammable surface. Only non-flammable surfaces. Guys, give me 3 examples of a non-flammable surface. Bless you. You got it. What's the first one? What's a non-flammable surface? Metal, number 1. Give me a second one. Concrete. Give me a third one. Sand. Yes, I suppose you could. I suppose you can charge your batteries on sand, though I wouldn't recommend it. But I suppose I asked for 3, and I guess that's 3. Guys, masonry, tiles, bricks, concrete, mosaic tables, literally anything like that. Okay, metal. Everyone always goes straight to metal because it's like, yeah, we know metal is fireproof. But I could charge my batteries on this floor right here. Okay, yes, I could charge my batteries on sand if I wanted to. As long as you get the picture, as long as it's not going to catch fire, then you can charge your batteries there. All lithium batteries are class 9 miscellaneous dangerous goods. So all batteries are dangerous goods, but all lithium batteries are at the top of the food chain when it comes to dangerous goods. Okay, that means airlines are very, very tightly wound regarding the onboarding of lithium batteries. Okay, so airline flying, lithium batteries are to be carried with the person as hand luggage. You cannot be putting your lithium batteries in your suitcase. Okay, why not? Where does your suitcase go? In the cargo bay. What happens in the cargo bay?
There's a lot of movement and there's no stability.
There is so many reasons why you don't take it on your suitcase. Number one, have you seen the way those dudes handle your suitcase? They literally throw this thing there and then they throw it onto the floor there. Like the number of times I know people that have come back and their suitcases are broken because of this. Now you want to go ahead and put a volatile, an explosive basically, inside that suitcase as these beeps. This dude's gonna throw this thing and kapoof, and then everybody's dead. Okay, you don't want that to happen. But beyond that, you put it in the cargo bay, they stuff other bags on top of it, the battery will explode. Beyond that, it goes into the sky. The cargo bay doesn't have the pressure control the same way that the cabin does. Okay, we have pressure control inside the cabin so that our ears aren't popping and we're not struggling to breathe. But the cargo bay doesn't have the same level of pressure control. So of course, you take something up that's got slow pressure, what happens? It starts to do this. What's going to happen with the battery if it starts to do this? It's going to explode. Okay, there are many, many, many reasons why you're supposed to take these as hand luggage rather than in your suitcase. Okay. Passengers are allowed to carry consumer-sized lithium batteries with no more than 8 grams of equivalent lithium content, or a maximum of 100 watt-hours of power per battery. Basically saying, if you're going to carry these batteries on board, just make sure that they're in a low state of charge, 25 to 30%. Okay, and then you will meet these other expectations. Only lithium battery packs in their respective electronic device are allowed into the cabin. Okay, so that's the other thing. If you're carrying an individual lithium battery, which is going to be fully charged, it has to be inside the device. For example, your mobile phone or your laptop. If I did something like this, I have a laptop and I have a fully charged battery and I have a spare laptop battery, because let's say I have a 4-hour flight and I know that I only have 2 hours on my battery. So I did a clever thing and I bought another laptop battery, charged it to full state. The airline is probably, unless I get lucky, the airline is probably not going to let me take that battery onto the plane because it's not at 25 to 30%. It doesn't meet those above requirements. It's a 100% battery, basically meaning it's a small explosive device, which I'm now trying to take onto the aircraft with me. And guys, even in your devices, this can be the case. Do you guys know the stories of the Samsung Galaxy S7? Yeah, man. People took this phone up on planes, and the phone would literally blow up in the plane because that battery wasn't regulated the way that it should have been. The manufacturers messed up. So instead of making a device that keeps it non-volatile in pressure differences, they would go up, the pressure would change, and the battery would do this, and it would explode. Some people would be like this, and then it would explode on their face. Okay, spare lithium batteries are generally not allowed in checked luggage. Generally, sometimes you get lucky, sometimes people don't really care, but normally they will care. And your spare batteries carried on as hand luggage are to be packed into individual protective cases. So if you do want to be allowed, if I wanted to take 100% laptop spare battery, I was going to have to buy myself a battery bag, and I was going to have to put that battery in that bag. Then they would be much more inclined to let me have that battery on the plane. Okay, cool. End of life, guys. What do you do with a battery at the end of its life? Number one, put it in something safe. Battery container. Number two, take that container to an e-waste disposal unit or a battery manufacturer. Yes? Anywhere where you can sell the battery. Yeah, for recycling, that's right. Anywhere where you can recycle the battery, or anywhere where you can give it to someone so that they can recycle the battery. Okay, that should be the only way that we get rid of batteries. We should not just be disposing of them willy-nilly. And the correct disposal, you ensure the terminals or wires of the lithium battery are insulated in order to prevent short circuiting. So that's where you put it in a sealable bag, or you put it in a bag of sand, or you can put it in your salt water. Okay. You ensure the batteries are removed from devices and kept separate. Well, obviously you don't want to get rid of your whole drone. You just want to get rid of the battery. And then your battery packs that are swollen before discarding should be placed in a bag with dry sand. Okay, you can put them in dry sand because we talked about it will prevent that an extreme fire situation. Or you can put them in salt water and it will actually diminish the swelling. It's removing the chemical compounds within the battery. Don't do the dry sand thing, do the salt water thing, or baking soda. Okay. All I'm saying is that I know the salt thing works. We only have Google's perspective of the baking soda. Okay. Guys, this is what it looks like. So this is what a battery bag looks like. This is kind of what a battery box looks like, except not so rustic and not so military. It looks like a storage unit like this. You're going to see some at the field. When I take you guys to the field, we're going to open up these battery boxes. I'm going to show you how they're stored. Okay? Your lithium batteries should be stored in either a metal fireproof ammo box or battery box, or a purpose-built fireproof LiPo bag, like that one over there. It ensures that in the event of a fire, the fire hazard remains contained. And the LiPo bag is made from woven, fire-retardant fiberglass material. Just some extra information for you guys over there. The 80-20 rule, guys. We already know this. What is the regulated required power reserve at the end of a flight? No ways. 10%. Remember, the regulation says 10%. So why do we land at 20% instead of 10%? Hint? That graph up there. Remember that at 20%, that is when the battery is literally being used beyond what it's supposed to be used. It's draining too much. Okay? So yes, our regulation says 10%. But we know, being people who use the batteries, we know that we actually need to stop at 20%. What that means is, you always aim to land with 20%. But if you need to, you are allowed to land with only 10%. That's what that means. Okay. Cool. Sweet stuff. So that's your 80-20 rule. You use 80% of the battery, you stop using the battery at 20%. Okay. Cool. This is so a battery balancer is not something that we have. That's actually something that's integrated into our smart chargers nowadays. But what we do have is a battery checker, or sometimes called a capacity controller. And that is this thing over here. Okay, you literally take the battery, or you take this checker, you take the battery, you slide it in, and it should say, it'll tell you the maximum voltage of the battery. It'll tell you the percentage if it's 98% full. And it should also tell you what each individual cell is at. That's how you can check if your smart charger is in fact balancing the charge cells, or if it's not doing that. Okay. Here we go, guys. This is that fire. You know that fire I keep telling you that goes from the floor to this high? This is that fire. Just one tiny little battery can make a giant fire like this. Okay? In the event of a fire emanating or bursting out from any type of battery, You need to put the battery in sand or water. It will assist with the fire. Yeah, sure. I'm going to pick that battery up and put it in water. That's something I'm going to do. What am I going to do instead? Yes! Fire extinguisher. Why do you think it is the #1 piece of fire safety equipment in every drone company? It's because there's no ways I'm going to be touching that battery. I need something to handle that fire without dealing with the battery. Okay? Alternatively, this is where your Coca-Cola comes in. Just pour, chug that motherfucker out. Okay. Then you've got your internal resistance, your generic battery rules when it comes to internal resistance. With the continual use of any battery type, there is an increase in the battery's internal resistance, which will have a direct effect on the pack's output potential. What is internal resistance? Internal resistance is essentially the condition of the battery. Okay? Internal resistance, when you dive deep into it, it's talking about how well can the battery resist the outside elements. Okay? In other words, how non-volatile is the battery? Okay? They're all volatile, but this one, which is very well cased and very well manufactured, is going to be less volatile than this one, which has a casing that swells easily and you can crack it easily. Okay. Internal resistance is talking about basically the internal condition, the inside condition of your battery. Okay. The more you fly a battery, the greater the deterioration of the battery life is evident. In other words, the more you use the battery, the more the insides of the battery break down. Same as a human being, right? You're born, you grow, let's say you grow to 20, you reach your peak physique, right? From there onwards, as you get older, your insides get less effective, okay? The same thing happens with the battery. That's literally what internal resistance is, okay? Cool, guys. Do you have any questions regarding batteries? No questions? No?